So in today's video we're going to be going through a Vanguard build that I've been using, and it's not so different from the challenge dungeon build that we've all been using. It's nice to have a build that's very similar, simply because it's so versatile. You know, you can use this in pretty much anything. There's no reason not to use it. The damage is great, especially for Vanguard. The only changes I've made really are to the set items, so you'll see me going through just doing this nice and quickly, and then we'll go into the build, and hopefully this will be a nice smooth run. As long as none of us get killed by that. It was close. That's the one thing that normally kills everyone, the incoming monster part, where you get the red circles. Now this build you should be able to go and just use straight in elite. I've not done the elite mode. There's never a kind of a group around doing it when I'm ready to do it myself, so I just normally hop into doing the level 4, simply because there's no benefit to doing the elite mode other than just going onto the leaderboard. The gear is exactly the same that can drop as long as you complete it in level 4. You need to just get your charms at level 20, and then that way you'll be in for the top seasonal rewards when it comes to the end of the season, which is around about a month's time. And hopefully by then you'll have your charms at level 20. You've done everything you need to do in Vanguard, and if you want to go into elite, then obviously you can push for the leaderboards if you wish to. Again, no one died there. It was close again. I thought it was going to catch me out for a second, but it didn't, so that was good. And now we just have the boss. So a nice quick simple run, no problems here, no deaths. We're just down the boss quickly, and then we'll go into kind of the gear that I'm using, the set items that I'm using. Like I said, there isn't much difference between this and the dungeon build that we've all been using. Only a rank 9 reward. Let's just get out of this party, and then we can kind of go through with exactly what I've been using. So as you see, very easy build to use. No problems going through a level 4. I don't think there'd be any problems going into elites with this at all. Right up to elite 10. Shouldn't be an issue. At 750% monster strength, shouldn't have a problem. You know, I don't know what other builds people have been using, but I've had no problems in using this setup. So the setup I'm using is, skill wise, you're going to be using the same as what you would be if you was going into a challenge dungeon. You're going to be using Bone Spear or Soulfire. I prefer Bone Spear, but you're definitely going to be using Command Golem, Corpse Lance, Grim Scythe, and Bone Armor. Then the gear set that I'm using is Studied Menace, and this is simply going to be for your Corpse Lance, dealing decay to an enemy. Perfect for this setup, as you'll see in a second. Like I said, this is virtually exactly the same as our dungeon build. We're going to be using Unfilled Grave for our Bone Armor, which is going to increase our damage and reduce the damage taken. We're going to be using Incision Cusp, which is going to give us more crit chance or crit damage when our Bone Armor is active. We're using the Raving Silence, and this is obviously going to be for your Grim Scythe to trigger all the continual damage that's on the target. The best part of the build. We're then using Defiling Swarm, which is for our Grim Scythes to do the whirling scythes that orbit you and deal damage to the enemies and create corpses. We are also going to be using Rotted Harvest, which is for your Golem, which is, in my mind, this one or the Poison Golem. Either you can use, but this one does have the benefit of it does increase in size, life, damage, and attack range, but it also has that aura around it, which obviously deals damage and slows them, which is obviously classed as a control effect. And you'll see that, which obviously I think Orif mentioned in his video when he did a challenge dungeon build of what this kind of can do. In the shield side of it, the offhands, we're going to go using Departed Appetite. This one is for Corpse Lance to consume all the corpses near you and create a vortex of bones surrounding you. We're going to be using Corrosive Slab on this one as well, which is simply for your golem to make nearby enemies more vulnerable, which is going to increase the damage that they take. So set items here. We are using 6-piece Vifu's Urges, simply because of the 6-piece here. It's each time you use a skill to buff yourself or a party member, you will create a area of on the floor which you'll be able to heal from. And this is great because you're going to need some healing in the group itself. Some people will go in with obviously healing charms, which do help, but if everyone's using this 6-piece as well, you're going to have no problem going through and just clearing it with ease. The other part that I'm using is the 2-piece Barons, which just increases the harmful effects. So because you're increasing the duration of the harmful effects, that in turn will work with the legs we're using, the Raven Silence, and that will actually increase the damage that they're taking. Gem wise, we're going in with Viper's Bite, Pain Clasp, and then we've got Morn Skull. You could switch this out for a Berserker's Eye, not a problem at all. I'm going in with a Mother's Lament. I'm also going in with a Bottled Hope. Broiling Consequences, obviously, which is the bread and butter of most people builds nowadays. Then we've got Blood-Soaked Jade, again another one that's kind of, you know, soaked into everyone's mind that we need to have this one in. And then we've got the Misery Elixir, which is going to increase the duration of the dots that you're putting on your targets, and obviously with them it's going to obviously increase the damage they're taking when you clear them off with Raving Silence. So when it comes to the golem that we're using, I know Orif mentioned in his video the Reforge, kind of what people should be going for nowadays. So Reforge wise, you've got damage to enemies suffering loss and control increased, so that would obviously affect with the golem, and then damage increased to demons. These two are great for when it comes to you doing PvE content. If you can get this on every piece of gear, then you're going to have a massive increase in damage to the loss of control and to demons. So I've got it on my helm. I have got it on my... I think I've nearly got it on most pieces now. 5% there and 3% here. Shoulders. I believe I've done it again here. Loss of control and demons. Legs. I'm still trying to get it on all pieces, I believe, simply because I've not had enough Reforged Stones. Here I need to reroll this one and have this one as loss and control, but I do have damage to demons there. My first main hand, I do have loss of control and demons. Second main hand, again on here, do I have I rolled it? Loss of control. I've gone for attack speed on here, but I think I'm going to end up getting rid of one of these two, the crit hit damage or the skill damage increase, simply because I think the damage to demons is gonna be better in the long run. My 2 offhands, have I rolled it on these yet? Loss of control and demons. And the second one here, we do have this one I need to reroll. So this is what I was using before when I was using mainly summons. I will be getting rid of the summons damage increase there, and I will be getting rid of the primary attack here, and possibly one of these two once I do reroll. I believe I am slowly getting some. I've got 9 Reforged Stones currently, and in that way all my gear will be rerolled into this new setup that Orif used in his video, and said that this is kind of the best kind of way to do a lot of damage in dungeons and in general PvE content. Other than that, we're using Atrophied and we're using Lash 2-piece. But other than that, there's not really much to say about the build. It's a very easy build to use. As easy as it is in dungeons. You want to be using, when it comes to the charms, I use the Blight Orb. It's great because it follows that target. It follows targets around for you to do that increased damage. Now you can go in with a healing charm. You can go in with a defender charm. But I would say your damage charm, especially this one, is probably the go-to for people that are going to be using this sort of build. But go in whatever is your highest. You know, I'm still working on mine. I don't know if I've got another upgrade yet here. Let's just salvage this one. Have we got an upgrade? We do have an upgrade. So now my damage is going to go up to an increase of life and damage up to 1860, which is another 230% increase. That's just insane. That's just insane. So I've now got a rank 18, which is looking good when it comes to the end of the season for me. End of the season for rank 18, seasonal rewards. I stand to get some good gear there. You know, I do need to get to the rank 20 so I can get the maximum amount. But really and truthfully, when you look at the maximum amount, I'm only going to get another 200 scraps and another 100k gold, because these two are exactly the same. So really and truthfully, I don't really need to do much more in Vanguard, but I will go in and complete it each week, because obviously you can get the legendaries which have got the Heliquary bosses affixes on them, which is also great. We'll leave the video there. I don't think I need to say anything else about this. Now, if you are using a slightly different build, mention it in the comments. I think people would be interested in seeing what other necromancers are using. I do get the question quite a lot come up about, you know, different builds. I am looking at a raid build that I want to put out in the next, hopefully, few days or maybe next week. I'm still kind of working on it to see if it is the best one that we can possibly use, since we had the nerf to Parting Gift. It's not worth using Parting Gift, and I'm just working out kind of the best kind of strategy, whether we need to have a bit more defensive or if we just go completely offensive in our raid builds from now on. In standard raids, it's not going to be an issue, but in Gauntlet, that's the issue I'm looking at. So bear with me on that one. I know people have been asking.